Where's the blade? Oh, at the edge.
Yeah. The blade depends on how it cuts. Usually, you can use it for like multiple days, multiple tissues. But once you start seeing that um, your tissues you're cutting is not optimal, I will explain what does it mean like when the tissue is not optimally cut. Then you can change it out. But just for example, how you change it is basically this is lever right here. You just pull it towards you, and that will loosen up the hole on the blade, and then you can just move it out. It's very easy, right?
Where are the new blades?
Yeah.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
And the old one, you just.
The old one always go to the sharp container. Right there. And then to close it again, it's just the opposite way. Like you press the lever all the way up, all the way down, right? And that will keep it tight. When you first insert it, make sure it's all the way in, and then you can tap on the ends, not in the middle. This is what you're gonna use to cut it. Make sure it's all the way down. It's all the way down. And when you're not cutting, and when you move your hand, like when you mount anything you're working on, always have the blade cover down, because this is sharp. You don't want to slice your hand, right? So that's one thing. On here, this part, this glass plate is called a anti-roll glass. What it does basically, you see at the meat market, they just cut it, and then the meat is thick, so it just slides off. But these are so thin of a slide, if you don't have a cover, it automatically roll up.
Oh,
Yeah, because as the force of the blade push against the slides at an angle, and when you cut it, it just rolls by itself. So what this does is allow the slide to go in between the blade and the glass and keep it flat.
I see.
You're not going to see it all the time. Like sometimes, most of the time, it's expected to see it completely flat, but most of the time it will roll up somewhat. Right, the slide will roll off. So when it rolls off, it's really hard to mount it on there, and I'll show you how to mount it. So what we do is we have these fine brushes that we always keep it here. The reason why we keep these brushes in here is we want it to be cold, because any kind of heating up, just by with your finger tip, you can actually melt those two, and then the tissue will get stuck on it and you lose it. Right? Or get stuck on the surface. So always keep these in here so it's cold, so that it doesn't melt the slides. So yeah, usually this is here to basically to unroll the slide, and then to move it to a position where you can come in with a glass cover and you pick up the slide and you mount it. I'll show you that too. Alright. So first thing first is to move this all the way back. Yeah, it's already all the way back, so I can't move it. I'll take this out. We can move this.
Are there different size chucks?
Yeah, for different block size, but our mouse brain is pretty small, and the way we trim the block fit on there. So I'll show you. Yeah. So usually this could be. You see the outline of your tissues over there, right? Yeah. So this is really easy. I mean, the material that the boat is kind of waxy, so it's really easy to pop. What you do is you just crush it, you pull it aside, press it down, and it should pop out. Like that. And I will save this because once you have excess tissue block that you can cut, you can put it back here. Put some OCT on board, place it on here or wherever it's cold enough to freeze it again so it gets stuck in there.
I see.
So you don't have to save the ones because the labeling is already there.
Gotcha.
Okay. To move this block around, I usually just use I put this tweezer in here so it's cold, because sometimes if your hand's warm, you pick it up. You could, but you have to be quick. Otherwise, it's gonna melt. So rather I would do is I just have use the tweezer. This is the trimming part.
Which one is anterior? Which one is posterior? So.
This is small to big.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. You will see it once you slice it. right? Right now it doesn't matter. Right now it's just that as long as it's up in the front. I mean, you're cutting from the anterior side, right? Remember when
Yeah,
we cut
yeah.
the ring, the posterior is up, and then the posterior is up, the anterior is down, and now when we flip it, the anterior is up. So we kind of cut from the anterior surface. You see, this is a big block, right? The more, some people would cut it like that, but most people would do, what they would do, they trim off the side, as long as you don't touch tissue, right? We want this to be, we want some OTT on there, but we don't want too much, because it's just too much material. It's gonna take a lot of surface area on the glass cover, so you can't place a lot of tissue on there. And to help you trim it faster, I can totally use this blade right here, because it's cold, right? But cold on cold, this take a long time. You can do aviation. So how people cut ice cream is they have a warm bucket of water and you stick a knife in there. Right? So for the initial trimming, we don't care so much because you're not cutting tissue. Basically, I just basically make sure that. So you see that the biggest piece is this one. The edge is around here. So you don't want to cut right there. You want to cut, give it like a little bit, like maybe 2 centimeter, not centimeter, millimeter away. So you just hold it down tight. If you want, you can like leave it on there so that will hold it from the side. So basically, I just and then you just slide it down because the blade is at room temperature, so it's just slide it out. So this piece is just jump. You can toss it to the collecting, the waste collecting thing right there. This is to collect all the shavings and all the things that you cut out. And then you move to the other side. I will do this, and then depends on how you see it. And I'll do the same here. I'll just try. Take a little bit of excess. Right. So yeah, so this is what we have. This one is not like completely flat. This is flat itself, but since we place it on the other side isn't even, so you see there's an angle to it, which is fine. This is why we need to adjust the angle to get it flat. And so this is good. Some people will also trim a little bit up here. If you want, it's not too important. As long as you're not cutting into the tissue. The reason I use this too because once you keep it folded up, especially if it's a small piece, it will melt again. Your gloves are ready and sticky. Okay, so that's ready. So what I would do is I would just I'll place it here, and I would use a good amount of OCT, and then I just pick this up and then place it on top of that OCT piece, and that would kind of. If you want to be faster, you can do it with the hand. I just chill my hand a little bit, chill my gloves and my finger, and then I would apply a good amount of OCT.
Sorry, I missed it. How did you chill your hand?
You touch it, just touch the surface.
Okay.
It's cold enough.
Okay.
Why did you have to chill your hand?
Because if you pick it up
Oh.
with a warm hand, you might.
I see.
So you need to sacrifice. So I just apply like a good amount of.
I thought you were going to use a tweezer.
Yeah, I was, but then it's just sometimes slower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you just place it on there. As long as you place it on there, and then start. Sometimes slice up a little bit, so you adjust it so it's in the center.
How long does it take to?
And you will see that the OCT gonna become. Right now it's transparent, right? So it's gonna once it's freezes, it's gonna be it's gonna be like form like what's called white. You see it. It becomes this color. See that? It starts.
Yeah,
freezing,
yeah.
it starts
It's like precipitate. No.
or I don't know, whatever the bonding and the chemical reaction with the cold temperature just. Yeah. The hardest thing about this is not to cut yourself. And then once you get used to it, you know exactly like how to change the angle and what thickness and how to adjust the glass here. Because the position of the glass by changing right here, by moving the glass forward or backward with this knob right here, can control how if the slide will roll or not.
What position this?
This
You-
one, this
what does this do?
This here.
Oh,
see how the glass is right here.
Oh, I see.
This you by spinning this clockwise or counterclockwise, you move. the
Oh,
glass
I see.
Forward or backwards.
So it will
And
determine.
that would determine the overhang. Let's say the blade is my hand, and then you get glass here.
Oh,
so
I see.
how this is positioning, or this is the blade, for example, and this is the glass, right?
Yeah.
The position relative to the blade would also determine how it's the slides will roll or not roll.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean the
The
sections.
section, yeah. So.
And
I will
that
let
could
it-
be depend on how thick this.
Yeah, the thickness of the cut, the temperature of the cut,
Oh,
depends on how frozen the block is, how long has it been
I see.
stored.
I see.
Some
Whether it has
people-
postfix or not.
Yeah, some people like to wait between like a couple of seconds between each cut so that the surface and top of the tissue will warm up a little bit. Imagine this is a block, so there's a temperature difference between the surface and deeper into the block,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
There's always that case, right?
I see.
So some people like it to be like, that's why this temperature is also can be optimized. That will determine how soft or how easy the slice and cut or how much of the rolling it does. But a little rolling is fine. Like I say, we can always unroll it with like our fine brushes before we melt it. So yeah, so now it's freezing. It's very hard. Yeah, so what I would do is I would bring this out of the end. And then I would mount this on. I will bring this up and then I'll lock it so that it stays there. You can unscrew this, and then this is what hold the chuck inside, right? So I'm just gonna first, for example, just lock this one up. See how it's loose, and then if I tighten it, like turn it clockwise, then it's hard, right? Some people cut it like this. I like to cut it at a vertical position. It doesn't matter where you start. You can cut with a small part of it first, or the bigger piece. Doesn't matter. I like to do it vertically. That's why we trim it into a rectangular, like that. And so, like I say, we don't know how much to adjust this yet until we start cutting. An optimal surface angle is when the position in the way that the blade will cut all three at once. What I mean is, it doesn't, if it's like all the way down like this, it will cut, since this is the furthest away, it will cut the one that's closer to it first. So we'll cut this small piece first. If it's at this angle, it's too steep an angle. Right? I will show you what that means. Yeah. So right now I'm just gonna have it at default position. The default position is like when you move it, it will click back to click on that. You guys have your gloves? You wanna feel how these feel? You wanna try how these feel?
Okay.
Yeah, put your gloves on. I wouldn't trust you. This is where you adjust the angle.
And then, oh, that will
Yeah.
actually loosen the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So that's
How do
one.
you know where the default? This is the default?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It will back like this. And then you tighten it, but just move it like that, right?
Okay.
And try to play with this to loosen it, to open and close. So this is where, you tighten
Oh.
the chuck in there too, right? And then you can play around the angle like throwing this, but most of the time it's, as long as you have a relatively vertically position, it's just tighten.
Yeah, you can see that's loose. That's close. Right, you can see you can move it.
Yeah. That's why you want it to be stable. You don't want any kind of looseness in there, so it will affect the cut.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have the gauze here.
Yeah,
Otherwise you
cut
could
your
go-
hand.
cut-
Yeah.
Slice.
You slice your own hand, and you do staining on your own tissue. Yeah. So this is when I'm gonna start, because it's pretty far away from the blade, right? There's no way. So for here too, when you don't cut it, when you need to move, do adjust stuff in there, you can always lock its position so that the wheel doesn't move by itself. When you can unlock it to start moving. So right now it's so far away from it. Even if I do like 100 times, it won't get to the blade. So what I do is I kind of move it toward me or toward the blade. Oh, also a lot of people ask, how far should I have this glass? I say halfway, so that you can view the top or you can view it from underneath it too if you need. So to kind of keep a room temperature, or the temperatures are not drastically changing,
What's the purpose of having it open?
so that you can reach in there and doing the work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some people like to open it all the way like that, but I feel like that's really too much. I'd rather do like this. So just enough for me to reach in when I have set up everything and optimized everything, just to reach into this area with my brushes. Just, yeah. There's no set rule. Initially, when you first set it, you probably have it wide open so that you can see better. So in a way, when you get it a little closer, I want to like slowly move carefully, not cutting it. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, so basically I'm just trying to see. So as you get a little closer, what I want to see, you can relatively see how flat that is by just moving up and down. And if the gap between the space and the blade is kind of even, then you kind of know, like, all right, it's enough of flat. But you can't really tell until you start cutting it. So I'm gonna move it as close as possible. And then I'm going to just like slowly cutting. And then you will see whatever edges get cut first, and you know that, okay, maybe it's tilted toward that way. I have a feeling right now it's this edge that is more toward me. Right there, you see that? You see a little closer. So you can also increase it so that the progress forward is thicker or faster.
Okay.
Because you're trimming, so it doesn't happen. So you see that? Is that edge is starting to get
Yeah.
tighter. That means the block is leaning this way, right? So
So it's tilt to the left.
yeah, it's tilted. So you can either like, all right, should I be more? Sometimes, I mean, the bottom of the thing is really flat, so this is a good point where we come in and like, all right, let me tilt it down a little bit. And this is when you use the blade protector. I would usually keep all 4 fingers in there so that it holds in position, because when you move it, it will move, and I just loosen it. So what I do is I just push that way a little bit, and then keep it locking. So that way. And then you have to kind of reverse a little bit, because when you do that, the tissue on this side might progress too much for the blade and you cut it. So I'll do a combination of spinning and pressing this fine mode. Okay, now the other side. Okay, now it's even. Right now it's cutting.
In the right, you want it cut in the middle.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And then you use this big brush to clean out.
And what is this machine called again?
This is a cryostat.
Cryostat.
Yeah.
Is it cheaper than paraffin? That
I don't know how much it is.
Couple Hall has one like this.
Another angle is basically this angle, right? And so if it cuts from the bottom only, then maybe it's to lift it up to this way. If it was cut the top, and it would be overturning this way, so you want it that way. It seems like it's okay. Yeah, so this is like the most time consuming part, to position it. So to me, it seems like it's still cutting on this side a little more than that side. Maybe I over tilt it to the left.
But you know, a little bit
It's
imperfection
fine.
here and there is
You will,
not.
yeah, you will get it. You will get it.
It's not going to matter.
But
Yeah.
if this was zero samples, would you correct it again, or would you leave it?
I think this is 2 millimeters, so I have to do that space for it. I can cut it down more, but that just means you're gonna waste more tissue. So I'd rather spending a little more time readjusting it.
2 millimeter. I mean that we have 100 times 100. No, that 2000 divided by 20 micron. Yeah, we have 100 sections.
You don't need all that though. I think after like do staining a couple times a year, maybe like you need like 10, 12 total. Maybe the first two you just optimizing it. Sometimes we just do 10, 15, and then that should be enough. And then you can always keep the block in there. And you want to cut more, you can always cut because you don't have space in your freezer. You don't want to slide 100 slides per animal, and then you
Yeah.
have like 100 boxes that you feed them. You'd
Yeah.
rather store the block instead of the slides. Now I'm going to the other side.
Yeah, it's tricky to like.
It's tricky. Yeah. Oh, but it's fine now, I think. Maybe because we were cutting so much on the other side.
Yeah, even now.
Even now. Looks okay. Okay, now it's cutting on both sides.
Yeah.
So now I'm not gonna finish trimming because I need to optimize my glass wings, right? So for that first part, as long as you get a flat surface, and then you can progress on. So I'm gonna cut now at my actual thickness and to see how it rolls and how it cuts, and then if I need to adjust the glass or not. So basically, you just cut it down, and it's pretty good. So it's not rolling, right? And so let me see. So that's the 15 millimeter that we want. And then since it's thick there, so you need to kind of bring it into the middle to get away from the blade, because sometimes it always does that, right? It's always stay there where it cuts. So you need to move here. So there's some rolling at the end at the edges. So what you do is use two hands. One, you just flatten down the brush. You press it down against the surface to get a cold. I mean, it's already cold. It's fine. And then you just go underneath the slide. You go up, and you kind of remove the slide from the edge from the blade. And then you can move it back here, and you move it around. And then sometimes there's some wrinkle. You kind of have to like gently de-wrinkle them or iron them with your brush, basically. So this slide is relatively good. It's not rolling like you have ever seen like roll ice cream. They roll it. Sometimes it does that. So this one is relatively flat. Actually, really good. There's some wrinkle to it. You can't help it because the consistency, because the tissue and the OCTs are two different materials. So there's this inconsistency between the type of like matters or whatever. So the OCT might cut nicer than the tissue. The tissue is real tissue, like you have cells and organs in there. That's used to that. But as you get more deeper into the surface, it will look better. Because right now it's still on the very top surface of the block, so you look like that. But that's pretty cool. It's already there. But since we're here, I'm just going to show you how we mount it. So with your actual slides, what you do is this is labeling area. You can label it your name, date, the animal number, experiment, whatever. There's a lot of space to do in here. But I would like to, I suggest keep the naming, the identification of the animal, the tissue, like brief, so that you have more room to annotate more, like in terms of the antibodies, what you're staining with, what your primary antibody, what the dilution, what your secondary. Yeah, once you have a system now. I mean, you can also have additional information on the box, right? You can have separate boxes for different experiments. So. But anyhow, to mount it, so the glass has two sides. We always want to mount the tissue on the side of the frosted or the area which you write on. This side is very smooth. There's no coating, right? You want to mount it on the side that where the writing area is coated.
Can I feel it? And the other side?
You can see it too. Under the light, you can see it, right? You can see this is like glass. This side
Oh, okay.
is frosted, right? It's frosted so that you can write on there. And this side is bad. You can still use this one because both surfaces are supercharged, but then you can see it when you label it. So I'd rather have it here and then supercharged on this side. To mount.
Oh no, sorry, just wanted to clarify. So on the slide, white part, it should be animal number, organ, section, antibody, dilution, and make.
Yeah, whatever information. Sometimes people just have a code, right? If they have all this information in the book, they just put number one. And then your number one is what that corresponds to.
Yeah, we can code it like like knockout one,
just
knockout
like
two.
Just like your tubes, anything else. Yeah. So to mount it, basically what I like to do is I like to move the section towards someone here on the right edge of the stage here. The reason why is it's easier to reach into it. So you don't pick it up, you don't pick the section up by the tweezer. You basically just place the glass on this side, right, down, face down, and just like you pick it up like that. Yeah.
So why you start at one end first rather than the other end?
Just my order is easier at this end, right? So we always try to place at least 3 sections on one. So sometime, because for staining, you can figure that out later. What you can do is you can figure out, should I place the same brain section from the same area of the brain up to the end? You would do a comparison, right? Animal 1, animal 2 on the same slide. So that when you stain, you have 1 antibody per slide, or 2 animals. Or you can do 1 animal that take up 3 different slices on here, or 2 different slices, so that you can do 1 antibody, 2 antibody, 3 antibody of the same animal. It's however your experimental design is, right? But just for technical, purpose, I do it here so that I can place. If the next slide, I will show you the next one to show you. Just pretend this is my second slide, and then I would also now start moving it out. This is low. It's not rolling, but there's some wrinkle, so sometimes you can smooth it out a little bit. So I was placed over here. So just pretend this is my second slide. So if I wanted to be in the same glass conference, then I need to go right here, right? So the reason why I did it first so that I have more spacing this way. I can always do it this side, doesn't matter. But I like it. I mean, that's just how I do it.
So 3 is the max usually.
It depends, right? This depends on how much you trim the side off.
Oh, okay.
So right now, this is like that, because your biggest brain piece is, is pretty wide, but I can actually make this. Earlier, we could have trimmed more of it here.
So we can fit 4 slides.
But I like to have a little more excess amount on the round, so that when you have to, so this is better. Like you see how the speed I guys cut it slowly is better. And then you just move it up, and then you lock it into the lock position before you. There we go. And then you just move the glass away, and then you can. So you notice, with the excess amount of tissue around it, it's actually allow you to touch the slide with your brush on those OCT part instead of the tissue part.
That makes sense. That
Because
makes
if you don't have OCT, your brush can be touching the tissue, right? So that would, and also if you need to de-wrinkle it or smooth it out, you don't need to touch the tissue to do that. You actually just work with the OCT part, the less damaging.
I
That's
see.
it. Right?
And the paintbrushes damage the tissue.
It could be. It could rip it or whatever. It's relatively. This is a fine hair, so this should be fine. So yeah, like that. And then the place it. And then I place it to the edge too. It's easier if you need to place a third one away from like farther away. It's also kind of like you don't want to touch the other one. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just pretending this is where I place my third one. Right? Yeah. So depending on the thickness, depends on the size of the tissue, depends on the.
But the actual OCC wouldn't it damage the one that it overlaps?
Yeah, it won't.
It won't?
It will melt it out.
Oh,
But then you don't want the two tissues to overlay each other
Yeah.
because you can't tell, right? You want it separate.
Oh, yeah,
Ideally, you want it separate. When we do staining with this, we will use actually depends. We will use a pen that will apply a hydrophobic ink around it. So it depends. Depends if you have one animal or two animals. Bring from animal one and bring from animal two. You can stain them separately with different antibody by having this pen apply a hydrophobic ink around it, so that when you apply buffer solution or whatever, when it hit that hydrophobic ring, it won't spill over. It will. Yeah. I will show. I will have those pens too. Yeah. But yeah, this is how we do it. You guys want to practice since we are on the surface. We don't not yet get to the point where we actually want to use a tissue. We're gonna practice now.
Okay.
Get your
go
hand
ahead.
on
Go
here.
ahead. You go ahead. I worry I might cut myself
You're not gonna be able to
because
cut it.
my brain is a little bit tiring, lacking sleep.
Yeah. So let's try this buffer slide. Yeah. I usually put it on the door here, and I always cut it. So you want to. So when you move it, just do it gently using this knob instead of this one. This one moves the glass, so just use this knob and just do it gently. Yeah. Cut it 3 times before you unroll them. So I have 3 right now.
Oh,
See, I cut it.
see,
I cut it 3 times. So I just mount this one. And mount this one.
Oh, and you can do mount all 3. I see.
Why don't you do it that
Consecutively.
way?
It depends. Because this one's relatively nice, it stays flat and won't roll. Then you can do up to like that. Right? I can do like. It depends. And if this thing roll a lot, then you can only do once at a time because you need to. Because all 3 pieces gonna roll, right? Because you have to unroll it.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then once in a while, I like to clean the surface here so nothing is melt against the next piece.
And do you ever use the square paintbrush?
This one? I do. This one or this one?
What
Oh,
are you
yeah.
talking about? Whichever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It
Oh.
depends on your preference. I mean, this might be better. Sometimes some people like that because that's more surface area, and you can smooth it out more surface at a time. So it seems like this piece seems to be optimal. Since we're trimming it, I don't really care. I'm just gonna do it so that I get to the point where all the 3 brain section,
So this is why it's important to have the organs like set on the bottom.
or yeah, in a way that's more flat.
I see.
So right now, all these can go to waste. So I'm just doing 15 micron at a time. So if I do it 10 times, that 150 micron, right? So you have, this is a 2 millimeter thick. So you have plenty of tissue to waste to trim it to the point. Yeah. So keep track of how many rotations you do sometimes. That gives you an idea how far down you are. And with the 3 millimeter that you cut yesterday, that's a lot too.
Yeah.
So just pay attention to, right, it looks pretty nice, actually.
Looks like the other 2 show up earlier than the last one. The other 2 sections.
But they're not completely, the shape is not.
Oh. I wonder when you embedded it. Maybe it was a
Yeah, maybe it was
floating.
floating. Yeah. But as long as it's most of the tissue are there, you just want to see. You can still see your particles or whatever, right?
Yeah.
What are you guys staying for? You guys staying for
Tight junctions.
tight junction?
And microglia
Oh, okay, okay,
and aquaportin 4.
okay. Yeah, that microglia should be everywhere.
Yeah, so these are two knockout mice, and she wants us and that have not been treated with anything.
Mhm.
And then we want to do two wild type not treated, and then we want to add crypto and do two
Mhm.
knockout, two wild
Okay.
type. That looks so cool.
Few more slices.
Do your arms get sore to do
Not really.
Oh, okay.
This is not really heavy. I'm gonna try to see if I can mount these right here. What we're cutting is relatively, even if we do like 5, 6 of them, it's consecutive. And you don't want to place 2 consecutive, depends. But my strategy has always been, if I plan to do 10 sections today, I will have 10.
Okay, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I will have my 10 label and ready to go, so that for every brilliant cut, I will place consecutively. At my top position will be consecutive tissue from my 10 cuts, and then the 11th cut will go into the second
I
position,
see.
so that you have the 0 section. So that way, sometimes you need to analyze the cell is how many micron in thickness, like 10 micron or whatever,
I think
depends,
so.
depends
Yeah.
on the file, right? So sometimes you can't do 2 antibodies in one brain because they might be of the same species, like mouse or rat. So you can't do co-staining. Then you do 0 staining, meaning if you have 2 consecutive tissue and you stain with 2 different antibodies, the position, the relative position are relatively same level plane. So allow you to analyze, indirect co-polarization.
Okay,
right?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because they're right next to
Each other.
Okay.
So sometimes you need that because the antibody won't allow you to do co-stain.
I
So
see.
we always do that. We always set up, we always mount them serially.
So what you mean is just to fix the slide on here at the first position. So count from 1 to 10,
10 or 15 and
11.
And then, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Why? Let's say why? I see 10. I see. Why
10
did you
or
pick number
whatever.
10? Why did you
It
pick?
doesn't matter. I'm just giving you an example. It could be 20, it could be 5, it could be whatever. But
And we'll replace this for you. Since
Yeah.
you're using so
I see. So that you can do actually five more multiple
consecutive,
staining
yeah.
with different antibodies.
Yeah. So I always do that serial, mounting so that I can do the serial section.
But that's not exactly the same.
So, it's not exactly the same. Yeah, I understand,
But it's approximate.
yeah. But you would keep track of it anyway, right? That's the right way of doing it. Because if you have it written down, then you know exactly what the block is.
So basically, previously what we were going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Oh,
right?
really?
No, I'm saying
Okay.
right. Initially, that's what we did, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6. Now
That
what you're
was it.
doing here is 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6. Okay.
Yeah. So that way, you know that the number of slices here, the numbering, like
Yeah.
1 to whatever order it is, and you know, okay, that's the thickness, that's the position, that plane that you start with.
Yeah.
Plane 1, plane 2, plane 3, plane 4 is corresponding to the same sign number.
Yeah.
Right?
I see.
Yeah. Instead of one slide have 3 consecutive plane, and then plane 4 will be on the second slide, and
Yeah.
then plane slide 7 will be on the third slide.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna start seeing. Some people like to leave it down like that so that it's colder. Some people like to bring it up while they're mounting it. see how this one wrinkle a little bit.
Yeah. So we're gonna take 10 sections for this one.
Yeah, it depends on what you guys. I do 10 is enough, I think.
Okay.
That allows you to do a lot of staining already. Because each time you stain, say you stain one for antibody, one for aquaporin, one for microglia, and then one for your gap junction. That's 3. You can do all 3. You can do, what you can do is you can do maybe, you take, since you have 3 tissues on one, you can do 3 antibody on 1 slice, right? Or you can do 3 slices and 3 times for 1 antibody, 1, 2, like aquaporin, stain 1, stain 2, dilution 1, dilution 2, dilution 3, microglia dilution 1, dilution 2, 3. Initially, you have to optimize your dilution for antibodies. So that, yeah. I think so. That way it allows you 10 or 12, 15. I say 15. Let's do 15.
Okay, so
It's up to you guys.
if we do 15, we could 15 total. Then that means that we need only 5 slices, right?
Or I mean, 15 slides. So that's like 45.
Oh,
bonds.
45 section.
Actually.
I see. I thought you mean 15 sections.
Yeah. So also I try to see. It looks nice on there.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're not exactly the same. There's some stuff, there's some missing part. So it might look nice on there, but some of the OCT might be on the edges. That's why you don't see the slide being like.
Oh, I can't tell.
Yeah.
Is
You
there
see
a
this?
certain shape you're looking for?
Yeah, it should be even. I mean, this, I'm missing some part right at the top.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah. So you might, I'm not sure, we'll see if
I think you have a very high standard. That's probably okay for us.
if you guys are okay with it. I think it should be fine. Right now, you guys just testing to see first antibody works. Second, if it's cross the blood-brain barrier, you may be able to see it too. So the next one, I'm gonna. So if you want to bring the tissue up, so you can also leave it in that position, the down position.
Oh,
So that way it's also away from the working surface here. So you. So bring this over here. If you tear a little bit, it's fine. As long as you don't tear it within directly on top of the tissue.
Yeah.
If there's a little tearing on the OCT, that's fine.
It's gonna melt anyway.
Yeah. But maybe the second one. So that's the strategy.
So do you typically do like for example, these 10 slides for these 3 sections, and then have another set of 10 for the next 3 sections? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that will also allow, as you go, if you do 10, that's about 150 micron. And so it give you a analysis, give you a chance to look at like a different depth or a different part of the brain.
I see.
Also.
Gotcha. Because I guess I was wondering, could we do like these 3 sections for like this first work position, and then the next 3 sections for the second row? Or that wouldn't be enough?
You can do that too. Yeah.
what was the question?
Like if we use these 3 sections and this
3
OCT
sections?
one,
Yeah.
on this first
Yeah.
kind of row. and
Because
then
we have
this-
two. This is plate number 1.
So yeah, plate number 1
So
could
the animal have
3 plates.
have 2 plates.
Mhm.
Yeah, the animal have 2 plates, and each plate have 3 sections. What she meant is, can we do the first row here from this block? And
Yeah.
then we take the second block there for
Yeah,
the
for the
second row.
is that better?
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of like our steps of like I guess troubleshooting with the antibody and stuff, were you thinking to have these 3 sections for all of these slides so that we can test out different dilutions?
Actually, your idea is better, because that way we can test the antibodies, but also at the same time see where things will have changed.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
the different sections look like, or different thicknesses look like, or
Okay.
different regions look like.
Yeah, that way we can.
You can always do more than 10, right? So with this 3, you can always go like whatever up to 20 if you want, and then the second section you can use it from the other block.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Well, we can do like 2 different dilutions, like for this section, and then another set. Like, I guess how many dilutions do you typically troubleshoot?
I usually just do 2.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, initially.
So 10 slides is given enough 5 tries. Right? If you do.
Or better, it's just cut a bunch of them. Just for these 2, just cut a bunch of tissues, because when you, microglia is pretty standard, and you can always you can do 1 dilution. Just go with whatever recommended by the vendors,
Okay.
and then if that doesn't work, then you do that. Right?
Okay.
That's always another case. But the idea is you can have enough so that you don't have to recut it so frequent.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. So you have 1 brain, but 2 different sections. I would do. Yeah, I would do just if you do 2 sections, that one on here too. Then I'd say do 15. Right, per block. Right, 15, and then just go. Take 1 on top, and then put 2 on the bottom. That would be 15 of each.
Can this fit 15? No.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can place this one.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to be on the. This is my preference. I do it so that I don't have to move around so much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, we can do that. We can do 15. So the first one's gonna always like that. Right?
Okay, I'm still a little bit confused. Like, why did you pick the number 15?
I don't know. I just picked plenty. I think in my experience, 15 is plenty. I'm not gonna use it up, so that I don't have to cut. If you cut 5, you probably have to recut it because
Okay.
within a week
Yeah.
you do 2 staining and you're done.
Okay.
You have to have native control, right? You have to
Yeah.
have 1 just secondary and all the way through.
Yeah.
15 give you at least 3 times.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That's no rule to why 15 or 10.
So if I were you, like label all 15 ahead of time.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that he said just use some kind of code so that if you write too much there, it's hard to see. We can use some kind of code.
Because you're gonna need information about the antibodies on there. You're gonna need to write dilution on there, the date.
Yeah.
There.
So for example, this would be a knockout, right? Knockout 1, knockout 2.
Oh, these are knockout. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we don't
Do
know.
you guys generate the knockout? So you still have to confirm is it confirmed it's knocked out?
Yeah, if you're genotyped.
Generate
I
copy,
see
it should
that.
be, yeah, okay.
We haven't done like the whole transcriptomics.
I usually forgot which order I do.
Oh, sorry, I probably should have done that
Oh,
before
yeah, no
taking up the
problem.
thing.
So
Hi.
I would you protect it. I will cover it with OCT. I got a thin layer. This guy also knows how to do it. He can help you too. So if you have any questions, you can ask Sebastian. Should be fine, but
Oh, I can get honestly,
you have
I
the
left
air
it
bottle.
upside down.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
To protect the
Yeah,
sections.
Just you scratch or whatever. Yeah, so that would let it freeze it out a little bit, and then we can remove it from the chuck with a razor blade.
Okay, gotcha.
And then put it minus 80.
And then put it back. Oh, okay, that's right. Can you get me like a chuck? Hey, Shubash. Yeah, that way. Because if you don't cover up, you can put it in the box, your box, in the lady, and it moves around. You know, oh,
That's extra.
Yeah, but then next time you have to cut.
yeah, you just trim it down. Right, you just trim through it. And you also know, right, with this new layer, you also know that's the side that you want to cut from instead of on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, it will take a while. We'll wait for that.
How long does it take to freeze?
This depends on how far down.
Or maybe yeah, we should close that lid so it's faster.
To keep the temperature.
So a couple of the slide we got on the wrong side. I just labeled it anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, you did?
Number 9 to 11.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a good demonstration.
I have to feel it to see the difference.
I just read the
You can
words.
see it. You can see a reflection, right? Either way, that's why it's easier. Maybe do over there. There's more light.
Now I just see it by the words. If I can read it. then
Oh
I know
yeah,
what's
there we
supposed
go.
to say.
Yeah.
Sorry, this took so much of your day.
Oh, no problem at all. Yeah, I planned to do my stuff a little later anyways because I did my transfection yesterday. So I need a little more time for the channel to express. So I can't. Sometimes I can't.
So does Heike know you're helping us? Because if she doesn't know, she might ask how come you're not working.
No, she didn't care.
No, you should let her know so that she can credit you.
Well, I don't need credit for this.
Well, she might think you're slacking off if you don't tell her.
By helping other people. Well, as long as I give her data, as long as I produce what is needed, I don't think she mind what I'm doing. I think it's relatively okay. So as long as cover, so I would usually just put it back on here. So what I do is I let it go down. Sometimes you can just like warm it up a little bit with your hand. And then you just go underneath there and get it off the chuck. And then you put it back in the same one. Yeah. And you can also some more OCT to freeze it to hold it into the plate.
Then you have to trim again next time.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Trimming doesn't do anything. Trimming is fast.
But remember, this time the orientation will be different.
Well, you can already tell. Right?
Oh.
You can already tell that, you can cut it from there. And also, if you look from the other side, you won't see the outlining of the tissue. So you just go with the surface closest to the tissue. So for this, you can leave it in here. It will freeze over time. Yeah. So this one should be enough now. I think it might be. This is like what 15 minutes already. You wanna try this or to do this one? You clean it up after. You wanna try to take it out?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
sure.
ahead.
Leave it.
Also, I forgot to put in a check.
Bring it this one.
Oh, to use the one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has to put two.
Okay.
We have one more here. We can put it back to.
Oh, this one. This one. Just to show. This one you can. This is since it's freezing, but if you bring it out to the room a little bit, it's kind of warmer, so this thing will melt. Or you just do this right here. You just use edge of the razor blade and use this. clean it out like that. That's all you need. Again, on the side. Sometimes, if you can't, sometimes this thing gets melted a little bit. You can always rinse this into the water, and the water actually melts away the OCT, and just wipe it clean with a paper towel. I mean, a lot of these things could be melted by water, so. But since OCT is frozen, it's really easy. Once you get one piece of it, the whole chunk will fall out, and usually nothing stays out. That's it.
So
And then, sorry, just kind of verbally go over the first steps. I know we pop it out.
Yeah.
And then do we trim first and then place it onto the chuck with OCT?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
trim on the side.
Yeah, trim like how we did the edges right here. If you flip over, right, you trim the side and that side, right, so that you have that kind of rectangular shape.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that on this surface right here because it's closer, so you can press it down more. Down here is like it's a little hard to put your hand in there. Some people do it, but I like to do it.
So the direction will be the posterior bottom, anterior top, like when you put it on here. Posterior bottom, anterior top.
Yeah, posterior
Okay.
facing this way, and then on the surface would be your anterior.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's gonna be like this, right? It's gonna be like this.
Anterior,
It's gonna be like this.
posterior. Okay. And then how from top to bottom?
The big. This is the cerebellum, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no, this is the olfactory bulb. Yeah, olfactory bulb.
So olfactory bulb is
Yeah.
at the top. Okay, so it's still anterior from here to
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
I
Because
see.
you still go like this way, because this is for 4th, 5th, and 6th line.
I see.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I don't know where I put it.
Oh, I thought I snapped it.
How long?
We have to wait for it to solidify, like for it to become opaque. So I don't know. Probably just a few